Today's Wednesday, the 30th of May. Hopefully everybody had a wonderful Memorial Day. With my days off, my Memorial Day is just a little bit different. Don't have Saturday, Sunday, so I took Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off. So we're back up here at the ranch finishing up some work. Last week we had a little issue going on here. The tractor basically started pouring oil everywhere out of right up underneath the seat where the gear shift is and going. I'll show you some pictures of where the oil came out and what we had to do to tear it apart and see about fixing it. What we had was we had oil actually coming out of the top of that gear shift level. You can see the oil all on the top of the pan. For some reason I was getting hydraulic fluids from the back bucket being pumped into the rear end transmission area, so it was just pressurizing it and tearing it apart. You can see all the oil on the ground that came out. Had to pull another probably 10 gallons of oil. It mixed my rear end oil and my hydraulic fluid all to it, so we basically had to tear everything apart. After getting everything tore apart, cleaned up, looked at it, there's only one spot where the hydraulic fluid that does my hydraulics enters into the rear transmission area. What this here is the gearing. This arm goes on, like this. This here's the actual gearing actuator that lifts the back scraper up off the ground, and what that does, it goes through a hydraulic line into here and then pressures the tube that sits right back into here. So the ram that goes into here, right here, basically you have two parts onto it. The cylinder has a huge crack into it, so this piece here needs to be replaced. I'll run down to the store, get these two new systems, and then the cover plate has an O-ring on it, so we'll get all these back in. This here basically is just, as hydraulic fluid goes into here, this ram gets pushed this way, pushing a rod, lifting the back of the scraper up for the tractor. So we'll get these pieces and see if I can get this thing pushed together. But what it would do, it would pressure these this cylinder to 3,000 pounds of pressure, and then it would just flow over this seal here and pour into my transmission. Well, that was the fun part of tearing all this apart and getting my tractor back to running. I'll do a video of me actually putting it back together and stuff. But why don't we show you what else we did last week that was more productive here on the ranch. When I was digging the apple tree holes, what we have to do with the sand and stuff here, I use a rotor tiller to actually dig down about 18 inches. Then it loosens up the sand, and then you can just shovel it all out. It works real easy with a rotor tiller. I had this real older rotor tiller. It's Troy built. Engine's just not working properly, and I've got a tire that's not working properly and stuff. So I searched on Craigslist, and I found another guy here in Carson City that was selling a newer unit for $300. So yesterday we drove back to Carson City and picked that up. So we have a brand new, it's not brand new, it's a newer, nicer, cleaner engine. So this one here should keep the holes dug and the rotor tilling around here going for, I don't know, another 5-10 years. Then I'll work on this one here and see if I can get it running. Let me take you out to where the orchard is and show you what we did at the apple tree orchard. Well, here in the apple orchard, what we did is last week we got all the posts installed on the first row here. We dug these posts down in between each of the positioning of where the trees are going to go. They're 20 feet apart. The trees will go into circles. We got into the circles and dug those out a little bit more. we use the tractor to basically haul the dirt away. Once we rotor till it down about 2 feet, and then we'll put decent soil into it, put some cow manure into it too. So it's really nice. But we got these posts together because what we're going to do is run a rope system through here and tie it to each of the trees. The winds up here get 30, gusts of 30, gusts of 40s, but there's always winds blowing in the trees. You need to stake them down somehow. There's nothing, as you can see, as a wind barrier to stop anything. So I figured this here might be a good way to tie all this together and keep my trees from moving too much and snapping on it. Eventually what we'll do is, I got the rest of the posts that I need, and we'll start installing them when we come back at the end of the month in June on this section here. Hopefully we'll get that in and get the last holes of the trees to go so we can start planting these trees in. I would have liked to got the trees planted this weekend, but that's not going to happen. Hopefully the end of the month the well driller will be up in here and drill the well, so hopefully everything will come together and we'll get the water to everything. Let's go look and see what the trees are doing. We moved the trees from the house to in between this little fence and the pump house here, so they're protected a little bit from the wind. But as you can see, they're nice and they're growing really good. I've got a lot of apple sets on them. I need to come out here and actually pick through the apples. They actually grow about 4 or 5 apples per bundle. So what you need to do is drop those down to where you only get like 1 apple every 6 inches. But there is some nice apple sets here. See, there's tons of apples on the trees growing. So probably next month when I come back up, I'll have to come in through here and actually clip a lot of these off. If you let all these go, they will weight these trees down so far that it just breaks branches. And these trees aren't really big enough to support all the fruit they can actually grow on them. So, but it's nice. The leaves are healthy. I'll fertilize them again. But they really need to get out of these pots. A lot of these trees have been in these pots for about 5 years now, going on 6. So it's time to get them in the ground, get them a permanent home, and then I can start really, trimming these trees up so they grow nicely and they'll have a home for the next 10-20 years. One of the other reasons why we moved the apple trees is I brought up 2 of my crab apple trees. I grew those from apple seeds. That's what got me growing apple trees. My dad's rotor tilling a strip in here to where we're going to get 3 trees in here to block this morning sun from the house. That's the master bedroom area there. So we'll get these trees in here, and hopefully in a couple of years they'll grow and shade this area. We'll put these 2 apple trees on either side, and then probably put a Japanese maple in the middle for some color. So that'll work. I brought some tomato plants that I started from seed back up here so we could plant them in here. This here's a small garden my mom put together. I brought in some blackberry bushes in pots and we have those set in. Those are right there growing like mad. And then here's the tomato plants. We did them in some of the raised bed boxes that I brought up. So we've got cherry tomatoes there, a couple of bigger tomato plants here, but there's enough tomato plants in here and they're starting to go really good because of the sun that's kicking out here. So we'll see how good these do. birds come into this corner and do their thing. But yeah, I'll keep you informed of how the tomatoes up here are going, to see what tomatoes in the desert look like. All right. So this here's a tour, a little update of what I did last week and this week here in the ranch. Get back into the shop area. We'll get the parts I need to actually fix the tractor, and I'll put together a video of us putting it all back together and how that all works out and get it running and stuff. But you know, life on a farm, life on a ranch, life on a homestead, you know, you've got to tear things apart, fix things. You're doing almost everything yourself. So I'll go into our little town, see if they have the parts. If not, I'll have to order them, and then once I get them, we'll put them all together. So you got to be a handyman farmer and do everything a little bit yourself. But it's a little update of what we've been doing here, and hopefully next time I show a video, we'll have the well driller drilling wells, get water running up there, and get the tractor running again. Okay? So thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next video.